What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got for you the return of Freaky Fridays. This one is going to be a little bit different to most. I'm not looking at a freaky, scary subreddit today. Instead, I'm on r/AskReddit. I asked the people of Reddit, what is the scariest story you know to be completely true? And these were the best answers. Before we get into it, drop a like if you're excited for the return of Freaky Friday, and subscribe and follow if you haven't done so already. Here we go. My cousin picked up a hitchhiker about 20 years ago. Nice enough guy. Cousin was hungry, so stopped at McDonald's, grabbed the hitchhiker some breakfast too. Dropped him off where the guy had said he was headed. No big deal. Next morning, my cousin's watching the morning news and sees that hitchhiker's face. The dude was a serial killer and had killed someone that picked him up. The cousin calls the cops and they have him come in. It turns out that hitcher had killed the very next person after my cousin that had given him a ride. He'd killed a few people that had given him rides. That was his MO. They asked the hitcher why he didn't kill my cousin, and he said, I planned to, but he was a really nice young man. He bought me breakfast. I couldn't kill someone that bought me breakfast. Well, sadistically, guys, I guess that's just as clear a sign as ever to be kind to people. Be kind to a serial killer and they might not kill you. But in all seriousness, that is a mental story. My childhood friends took over a gas plant in Algeria, held the workers hostage, and then killed 37 people and themselves. And there's actually a link here as well. Do I dare click it? I mean, I've clicked it. Canadians in Algeria attack went overseas with third man. Oh my goodness me. Hang on a second. A special news investigation has uncovered the identity of a third member of a group of former London, Ontario high school friends, now at the centre of a horrifying tale of young Canadians getting mixed up with Al-Qaeda and international militants? What? Aaron Yoon is likely the only survivor among this perverse band of brothers, two of whom died while staging a bloody attack on an Algerian oil refinery 3 months ago. What the heck? This guy flew to North Africa with 3 others, but wound up in jail before the Al-Qaeda attack in January that killed 37 refinery workers in Algeria. 2 of his former schoolmates were among several dozen Al-Qaeda linked militants involved in the attack. Goodness me. Oh, great. A 4th member of the group also appears to have disappeared. Jesus. Motivation for the young man's involvement is unclear, say those close to the investigation. I mean, imagine going to school with a kid and being like, oh yeah, I remember that guy from school. And then, oh, he's involved in a crazy terrorist attack. What the heck? Oh, look, someone has commented down below. A 4th member of the London group appears to have disappeared. You were friends, OP, you say? Don't be suspicious, don't be suspicious. I mean, I do love a bit of dark humour. This, though, mental. I work with kids in foster care. A 17-year-old girl says she's got a secret to tell her CASA. I'm pretty sure that just means her guardian. Now, we've got a R SWAT team for this, because 17-year-old girls in foster care, 9 out of 10, it is R, sexual assault. Well, she sits down and tells how her family was Cartel and her cousins were enforcers. Okay, not exactly what I was expecting there. One day, when she was like 8, her cousins pick her up and take her out to the desert where they have a 5-year-old boy. They make her choke him to death? I guess he was the kid of a family that owed them money, usually for getting smuggled over. What the heck? Needless to say, we didn't have a game plan for that. The police basically said, no body, no crime, since we had no actual details to identify on, and the cousins she could name were dead, not in the country, or already in prison. The poor kid confessed that she was forced to murder a child with her bare hands, and the result was nothing. No justice for her, for the kid, for the family, just I guess that happens. Years later, she was 18 and out of the system to face a world she knows to be wildly different than how we all claim it to be and work. Unbelievable. A Soviet officer saw on his computer that America had launched nuclear weapons against his nation. So instead of ending the world, he went, must be a faulty computer, I will check. How there isn't a statue of him in bronze in every city on the planet, I will never know. His name was Colonel Stanislav Petrov. Wow, I wonder how that happened. And yeah, I'm surprised as to why he didn't just immediately go, okay, they've launched one at us, we have to launch one back. He realized, someone says down below, that if America had really attacked, they wouldn't have fired just one missile. That probably is true. My great-grandfather came home from World War II with shell shock, and my great-grandma refused to sleep in the same bed as him because he would keep repeating, "No, don't kill Tom," which was what he said before he witnessed his childhood friend getting killed. He luckily managed to get therapy and was okay, but wheelchair bound until I was about 11, where at Christmas dinner, he sat while we all ate, completely frozen. My granddad asked, "You okay, Dad?" To which he started crying and suddenly let out a very loud and hurt-filled, "Don't kill Tommy," and started crying. I know it's not scary, but it freaked me out. Oh my goodness. I mean, yeah. I guess, this is not groundbreaking news. It's just crazy the effect that war can have on people. And still thinking about this, just like locked in your head, this memory of your best childhood friend dying in front of you, or being killed in front of you, just completely ruined your life, of course. Mental. My dad got into a car crash head on with a convertible with a young couple in it, and the top part of the convertible window decapitated them instantly. He ended up falling into something red, berries or blood, and when the cops and medics showed up, they were freaking out, telling him to lie down. He was actually fine, but witnessing that screwed him up. Oh, again, like, how do you get over something like that? Crazy again. Alright, I think this one looks a little bit more actually creepy, scary. I mean, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. When I was a kid, there was a Peeping Tom in the neighborhood. But the weird part is we all knew who he was. A little older guy named Ralph who lived a couple of streets over and smoked like a chimney. We knew because he was caught once early on by a neighbor while on their roof watching them through the skylight. Oh my goodness. The neighbor had left a ladder against the house when doing work earlier that day. But after that, he was like a ghost, impossible to catch. People would find footprints and cigarette butts outside windows, smell cigarette smoke, and occasionally see the red cherry on the cigarette glow in the woods. Occasionally, angry dads and teenagers who spotted him out in the darkness would give chase, but he moved like a deer through the woods, and nobody could put hands on him. The cops were involved a few times and they dragged him in, but it was never for long. Partially, I think, because he had a disabled wife for whom he was the sole carer. He was sort of a neighborhood boogeyman, though thankfully seemed mostly harmless, if terribly creepy. Many years later, there were a rash of break-ins around the neighborhood. People even joked at the time that it must not be Ralph, because we all figured he had copies of everyone's hider keys already if he wanted to go inside. Side note, we later learned that he definitely did have keys to some houses. So odd, but anyway. Everyone's guard was up. One night, one of the neighbors heard a commotion outside and ran outside to find a stranger laid out in his driveway, beat to heck. They called 911, and when the police arrived, they were able to identify the guy as someone who had previous arrests for breaking and entering, and found items from the previous break-ins in his vehicle nearby and later at his apartment. As for how he ended up taking a bloody nap in the driveway, well, he said he was jumped from behind in the dark and never got a good look at the guy. All he remembered for certain was that the guy stunk of cigarette smoke. The thing that I find weird about this one is why does this person just get to do what he wants? Everyone knows he's a creep, but they're just like okay with doing it. Surely, even if he's not getting arrested, you lot as a community should step up and be like, no, we do not want this person living here. I mean, I guess there is a limit to what you can do, but I don't know. At that stage, I would say, yeah, sort something out. Because if he's breaking and entering and has the keys to everyone's houses, probably not somebody you want to be living around. Oh, here we go. My wife's neighbor completely lost his head. He killed his whole family, the dogs, and he even shot the houseplants and the fish tank. Okay, goodness me. That is how you know that someone's really gone crazy. They shot the houseplants and the fish tank. Someone has commented below, the fish watching him shoot the houseplants first. Whoa, must have forgotten about us. Oh wait. I knew a man who tranquilized his 6 kids and then shot them. I mean, goodness me, it doesn't really get much more wholesome, does it? When his wife returned home, the house was burning, and while she was agonizing over the kids, he stared her in the face and slit his own throat. The stupid idiot didn't even do it right and survived. in prison for the rest of his hopefully tortured life. His name was Jay Handel. Oh my goodness me. Real scary guy I knew through a mutual friend once claimed he'd wait purposely to murder a rival of his in front of their children so that his legacy of treachery would be remembered. He then went on to do exactly that. Shot a man to death at the breakfast table in front of his wife and his kids. I feel like every single post I'm reading here is just getting more and more serious and just unbelievable. What? Someone at my school vanished for a week with no leads other than a video of him on a security camera at a McDonald's 2 towns over. A week later, his body turned up in the lake in a bay. They never figured out what happened to him. Goodness me, someone has replied below. People disappear all the time, but it really is weird when it's someone you know. I grew up in Toronto but moved away after grade 7. The credit card company used to put pics of missing kids on their statements. And decades later, I recognized the girl on the envelope. We'd gone to public school together. She had very dark hair, almost black, and a distinctive gap between her front teeth. Well, it turns out that a couple of years after I moved out west, she disappeared. There'd been some sightings in the 2 or 3 years that followed, but nothing solid. And in the next 30 or so years, nothing. Imagine the pain, the torment for the families of these people, just not knowing what's happened. How can you ever get closure? With this person, you might even think she's still out there. At least the first kid, the body showed up, but my word, what could possibly have happened to them? I was hiking down from doing 2 weeks of trail work in Colorado a few summers ago. A guy hiking up stopped to chat with us about our work and asked if we'd seen anyone make the summit while we were up there. We told him that the first summit of the season had been done a few days prior and wished him luck. A friend of mine hiked in that area the next day and there was a helicopter circling around. The guy had taken the wrong gully back down and died. It's still crazy to me to think about. That's the thing. I can't possibly imagine being in a situation like this, having a very normal interaction with a random stranger, and then you find out that just very, very soon after you met them and had a normal conversation, they passed away. Absolutely insane to think about. I guess that just shows how precious life is. Well, precious, but also in a much more literal sense, just how quickly it can be taken away. Buyer knowingly sold HIV contaminated medication to South Americans in order to not lose profit. Wow. They were caught and fined, but their profit was far higher than the fine. So literally infecting and killing hundreds of thousands of innocent people was lucrative for this company. How can the fine be less than the profits they made from selling the thing? That's ridiculous. They should all be put in prison. I mean, ultimately, it should be given the death penalty, right? What? How? Yeah, I agree with this comment down below. I don't understand why the law doesn't essentially take all money that a violating corporation made off of unethical or illegal sales and then also fine them. If a fine is merely a fraction of an illegal cost-cutting method, there isn't a lot stopping them from doing unethical stuff. Exactly. If you have no morals, why wouldn't you just do this? If you know that you're going to make a load of money and then get a fine that's substantially less than the amount of money you've made, why not do that? One of my elementary school friends ended up working as a gunman for a cartel. He was killed this year in a gunfight with the army. Not really a scary story, but it messes me up every time I give it a thought, just reflecting in how different our paths in life became. I'm actually happy and doing good in life, both emotionally and economically, but he, on the other hand, had drug addiction issues too young and unfortunately ended up joining with the wrong people in the wrong place. To be honest, that's the sort of vibe I'm getting from all these answers, really. These posts aren't like necessarily scary. I'm doing air quotes on screen. They're more just really hard-hitting and real, which I guess is the entire point of the question. And it kind of shows, yeah. Two people that can be kind of similar at one stage in life. Maybe one of them goes a little bit off the rails and then you go and separate and make more and more bad decisions. And then ultimately you end up in a situation like this where two kids who were school friends in elementary school have completely different lives at 10, 15 years later, and this sort of stuff can happen. Right then, let's end on this. This one is personal, says OP. My family and I are staying in a rental house for a few months because my dad was terrible with money. This particular house was owned by a fairly wealthy friend of his who was going through a divorce because his wife had developed a long and nasty drug problem. So we're staying there pretty cheap. One night near Christmas, I groggily wake up and see a woman wearing white going through the drawers on the other side of the room. I must have made a sound because she turned and rushed over to me and gently said, "Shh, go back to sleep, little boy." Weirdly, I did. She looked like Liza Minnelli, if that's at all relevant. The next morning, I wake up to my parents acting weird, and I hear one of them make a comment, like, "I can't tell what's gone and what's not." For some reason, I didn't connect the dots until I was older and never told them what I saw. I thought it was a dream. So, yeah, the former crackhead owner of our rental house broke in, probably had a key, and I saw her, but I didn't do or say anything. I was probably 9 or so. My question to you, OP, is have you still not told them? What did you say, right? You didn't connect the dots until you were older and you never told them what you saw. Even now? Do they still not know? I mean, I guess at this point, there is no point in telling them because what are they going to gain from this information other than it just completely creeping them out? But wow, I mean, what an end to this one. Jesus, that one really was personal. So guys, there we go. That is going to do it for this episode of Freaky Friday. A little bit different to usual. My lights are on if you're watching on YouTube. First of all, that's abnormal. What about this? Let's just get them off. How about this? A little bit more scary. No, in all seriousness, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, drop a like down below if you want to see more stuff like this. It's kind of something that I've been trialing, and a lot of you do seem to like it. And again, if you want to see more of it, let me know in the comments down below because, you know, I'll do what you guys want to do. Obviously, it's got to be what I like as well. But if you guys don't like this, I can stop it. If you want more of it, I can do more. It's up to you lot. Let me know in the comments down below.